Thanks, Bashir, for providing a little drama this evening. Mansour, I was going to point out, I was glad that you mentioned the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture being launched this year, because indeed the Africa Union, NAPAD CAADP, is itself likewise formulating a African Climate Smart Agriculture Alliance with a prospective target of reaching 25 million farmers with CSA practices in the next 10 years. And I think that will also be a big interacting boost for the new GEF program. Moving on now, I'd like to ask Eric Patrick, adaptation specialist at IFAD, if Eric, you could share some of your perspectives, particularly from the IFAD processes that have had analogies to the GEF program. Do you have a mic there?
All right, thanks. It's a difficult act to follow when the previous speaker is literally knocking the audience off their seat, but hopefully it'll be dynamic. So my presentation will be relatively short and precise, and as the chair has mentioned, I'll be focusing on some experiences that are hopefully relevant in terms of environmental mainstreaming into agricultural development for resilience at household level, which we've been attempting through a grant mechanism which sits on a basic loan modality. IFAD operates mainly through giving concessional loans in the agricultural sector, which in many ways is analogous to the GEF mechanism, but is focused, in our case, always within an agricultural context. So I will say a few words about our experience mainstreaming using this grant instrument, which is analogous, as I said, to GEF in many ways, and we are a GEF implementing agency, so we've also learned from our GEF experience. And B, also something which is often overlooked, some of the institutional characteristics of IFAD, from my own perspective, which I think have facilitated this mainstreaming of environmental sustainability into agricultural development. Not always a perfect environment, but I think some things that we can think about as we're designing this integrated approach program of the GEF. So one of the most important mainstreaming tools of environmental sustainability into agricultural development we're using is a mechanism called ASAP, which is targeting resilience building of 8 million poor people on 1 million hectares of sensitive ecosystems with a focus on Africa. The ASAP means Adaptation for Smallholder Agricultural Program, and it's currently perhaps the largest adaptation fund for smallholders, currently at 360 million from 8 donors, currently programming in about 35 countries, and that leverages about $1 billion of mainly concessional loans per year from our core business. The core idea was, could you incentivize mainstreaming of environmental sustainability if you had a financial incentive, and how would that actually play out? So it typically is about 10% of the loan where it's attached to the loan. In some countries such as Chad, we've actually co-programmed the loan, the ASAP, and GEF together, each with their respective comparative advantage in terms of the type of financing and the requirements. So that could look a bit like a miniature version of the IAP with a range of diverse funding sources. Now, I think it's fair to say that IFAD's actions 1 year on our everyday actions are now more likely to result in greater resilience outcomes by, for example, getting risk analysis through this supplementary grant financing into project designs. And we found that GIS-based analysis is particularly effective in influencing decision making. For example, what gets funded. We can make the case simply, clearly, efficiently in terms of showing ecosystems which are sensitive, which we wouldn't have anticipated environmental impacts on, for example, purely looking from an agricultural perspective. Secondly, getting resilience metrics, and we know there's been a lot of discussions about measuring resilience in this conference, into our M&E system, our monitoring and evaluation system. That influences one's criteria for success, and it facilitates the improvement, hopefully over time, of your programming as you assess whether or not resilience is improving as a result of your actions. Thirdly, and this is where the bulk of the money goes, is scaling up proven multi-benefit options such as water harvesting, conservation agriculture, and agroforestry. None of the practices are new. None of them are climate specific, for example. But the optic we are using to program has now been shifted as a result of the climate resilience debate. And I'll give one other example, though not exhaustive, is helping climate-proof the development gains we hope communities will have achieved as a result of the loans. For example, market access, which in this case could be through strengthening feeder roads against flash floods, which our models show may increasingly affect certain critical points on the road network. Again, coming back to some of the benefits of the GIS analysis. Now, briefly, some of the institutional characteristics of IFAD, which I believe have facilitated environmental mainstreaming so far in our core agricultural development work include, and of course every implementing agency will be different, but in our case, the hybrid nature of the institution as on the one hand a concessional lender and the other hand a grant maker, including Jeff, a source of technical expertise on smallholder agriculture, so relevant to this particular IAP, and a country office structure which ensures ongoing relationship with the government and partners in country, which is critical. We can't just stop at the design. Secondly, experience in the relevant areas to this topic, which include agricultural productivity, financial inclusion, market access, environmental sustainability. But I think a resilience agenda together with a financial incentive has helped induce integration in these areas programmatically and at project level more than it was previously the case in IFAD. And finally, I'll mention the delivery modalities, which are multiple. They're through government, which ensures policy implementation, hopefully, as well as an opportunity for policy dialogue on what agricultural systems should look like, through farmer-based organizations to promote institutional capacity, which we've heard is an important aspect of resilience, and a range of technical service providers. However, what I'd say is that with respect to the GEF objective of delivering global environmental public goods, there's still a major scale leap between whatever we're able to do in terms of building household resilience or even help implement national policies and what we measure or what we can say the net impact would be at the global level, which in the case of a particular agency such as IFAD is relatively insignificant. But together with other implementing agencies, I think there could be a collective, significant collective benefit. Thank you.
Great.